Hi there, welcome to Lori Krein's Art Studio. I'm glad you could join us today. Today's project is inspired by a painting, acrylic painting that I had done, or a series of acrylic paintings I had done a couple of years ago that I really liked, and so I wanted to try and do the same type of effect but using collage instead of acrylic paints. So that's what we're going to do today. Before we get to our project though, I just wanted to remind you of a couple of things coming up. The first weekend of May, May 1st and 2nd of 2010, is going to be Silicon Valley Open Studios, and I will be participating in that, as well as over 30 other artists in my building at the Alameda Artworks in San Jose. You can get more information by going to my website, lorikreinstudios.com. You'll be able to have a link to the Alameda Artworks site, and there'll be information there if you're interested in coming by. It's going to be really fun. It's 11 to 5. On Saturday and Sunday. And again, you can come and see, we're going to be opening our studios to the public, so you can see what it's like to be working in an art studio, and you'll also be able to purchase artwork as well. So it's going to be a really fun event. Other things coming up, you can go to my website under events, and you'll be able to hear about other classes that I'm teaching, other shows that I'm doing, and information about the show and today's project. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check it out. And today's eco-friendly tip of the day is to simply combine your errands when you're going out driving to wherever you have to go. Just make sure that you have a plan ahead so that you don't spend time going back and forth, back and forth. You just go out, you do your errands, you come back, you're done. So that should save a little bit on gas. And as far as creativity, I would say just to get inspired, just go online, go outside, take a walk and look around and see what hits you for the day. Is it color? Is it a sunset, a tree, a flower, whatever it might be? And use that as your inspiration. So try to keep things simple. All right, so let's see, I think that's all the announcements I have. Oh, one more. My artwork will be on display in Willow Glen at the Willow Glen Coffee Roasting Company on Lincoln Avenue near Minnesota. It'll be up for the whole month of April, so if you have a chance, go down and check it out and grab a great cup of coffee while you're there. And I want to give a shout out to Fusion Hair Studios, and thank you Denise for taking such great care of my hair. She does an awesome job. So if you need a place to go get your hair done in Willow Glen, Fusion, it's called gofusionhair.com. And I think that's it. So, all right, so today's project. So this is what we're going to be doing. It's a simple outdoor scene, and I'm using kind of off colors, very bright, vivid colors. Instead of typically doing green or brown for the grass or the ground, I'm using red, and then I'm using this really bright blue teal for the sky. And then for the trees, I'm just keeping it very simple. I've got 3 trees, and I've just used a dark purple background and a lighter purple for the foreground of the trees, and then I just used black for the trunks. And so this is a simple project that anybody can do. It just takes a little bit of Lacta paper that you can get at Paper Source, which is located at Santana Row here in San Jose. And there's other locations, I'm assuming, around the area, or you can order the Lacta paper online from a bunch of different places. If you Google that word, you'll be able to find it. And it is eco-friendly paper, so that's why I really like using it, and it comes in these really beautiful colors. So anyway, and then over here on the side of the piece, I put a sun, and there's 3 layers of paper for the sun. I've got the dark purple, and then the yellow, and then the red, which is the same red I used in the ground. So that kind of ties that together. So anyway, that's the project. It's really simple, and the shape of the canvas that I'm using is this very long, elongated shape. I think it's 5 inches tall by 12 inches long, and it's also about 1.5 inches deep. I really like to use these thicker canvases. You don't have to worry about framing them. After you finish, you can just put something, a hook on the back, and just hang it right up just like that. So I like to use this size canvas, and you can get these at just about any art supply store. I know University Art has a lot of different size canvases, as well as Aaron Brothers. So what are you going to need to do this project? very simple tools. First, like I mentioned, you're going to need a canvas this shape. You can also use a piece of scrap wood if you prefer, or some masonite, or so just about anything that you like that's this size. It doesn't have to be an actual canvas. We like to use recycled materials on this show. So if you find something at the thrift store, use it. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a couple of sized paintbrushes. Got a big one here and a couple small ones to do for the smaller pieces like the tree trunks. And I always like to keep a paper towel handy in case I need to wipe off my brush. And for our glue, we use acrylic matte medium. And you can buy this at any art supply store. It comes like this. It's white. It's kind of a creamy, like pudding, a little bit thinner than pudding consistency. And I water it down with water to make it thinner because the matte medium by itself is very thick and it's used to water down acrylic paints. So to use it as a glue, you just water it down a little bit. And I have a container of water to wash off my brush, and then I have a work surface. It's just a piece of masonite, and I covered it with contact paper. And then when it gets messy enough, after a while, I just peel the contact paper off and throw it away and put a new piece on. So it can reuse the same board over and over again. And of course, you need a selection of the handmade papers. So today, for the one that I'm going to do today, I'm going to move this aside. Put this over here so I can kind of look at it. And I wanted to show you that the reason that I brought this piece in, this one is half done, and I used the same red for the ground, and then I used a purple for the sky. So you can combine these colors any way you want. You don't have to use blue. I'm going to do one with purple, and the one that we're going to do today, I'm going to experiment with it, and I'm going to use the same red for the ground, and I'm going to use yellow for the sky. And we're just going to see how that works. I don't know if that's going to be as effective as the little bit of a darker colors, but you know, it's a nice experiment to try. So we'll see how that goes. So you need your papers, and then I have a black Lacta paper to use for the tree trunks, and for the trees I'm going to use. Oh, and I have orange. I have orange for the sun. I'm going to try doing an orange sun against the yellow. I think that'll look really good. And then for the trees, I'm going to try to use these two colors together and see what happens. It's a teal blue and this bright purple. So we'll see how that works. So when you're doing any kind of a landscape type of piece, you want to always start with the sky, because if you look outside and you look at the sky and mountains or grass or trees, whatever, the grass and the trees and the mountains are always in front of the sky. So you always want to put the sky down first, and then you put down your ground, your hills or mountains or grass or whatever it is that you're doing, and then you put the trees on top of that. So that's kind of the process that we're going to use. So I have already pre-cut my paper to approximately the right size, and you want to make sure that you cut enough paper so that you can cover it around the edges. While you're gluing it down, you might as well cover it around the edges. So just cut the piece big enough so that you can do that, like so. All right, so I've already got that cut. So the first thing I need to do is just put the glue on. So I put it over here to my work area, and I get my fatter brush. This is about an inch and a half brush that you can get at any, it says an inch and a half. You can get this at any art supply store. So I'm just going to cover the paper with my matte medium, and you want to give it a decent coat because you want the glue to absorb into the paper a little bit, and it'll stick a lot better that way. Now the color of the paper is going to change slightly. It's going to get a little bit darker after you put the glue on. So we're just putting a nice, even, you know, just like you're painting, just kind of a nice thick coat, and just let it soak in and kind of brush over it a couple times. And I always like to put the glue on the paper instead of on the canvas, because that way it will absorb into the paper a lot better. So that's looking pretty good. And I usually like to, you know, give it a little bit of time to soak in before I just throw it right onto the canvas. That looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to transfer the paper over from my workspace over to my canvas. And I'm doing this kind of upside down because this is the sky, and I just have to make sure, I want to make sure I have enough room on the sides to fold it under. So I want to center it And I also want to make sure I have enough room, if I have enough room down on here, so I can fold it down over the sides too. So once I've got it sort of laid down, first thing I'm going to do is go along the corner with my finger and just push down so that it's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to push down on the back side, and then I'm going to push down on the front. And you want to make sure that you gently but firmly press down to get out any air bubbles that might be underneath. Now I'm going to do the corner, and the corner you simply fold it down that way, and then I usually I just cut it right there along the edge, and I'm going to do this side too, just at an angle, so you have a little flap. And then when you fold it down, it'll go down a lot smoother. And see that? You got your corner already done. Now we're going to do this corner. You just fold that down, and it's nice and smooth. Okay, now I'm going to go to the back, and I'm going to press down on the back of the canvas to make it stick, down to that, and got that good. Now we're going to go back to the front again, and I'm going to put another layer of the medium on top. And the reason I do this is because it, again, helps the paper stick to the canvas a little bit better, and it also makes sure that I get out all of my air bubbles. And I also like the paper to be a little bit darker than the original color. So I just think it looks a little bit nicer if we just put a coating of the matte medium on top. And it also protects the paper from the elements. And I'm just going to do the sides, do the other side. And that looks pretty good. And I'm just going to go along the back here, just a tiny bit of glue you need, just to do it all along the edge. Just to get it down there like that. And on this side, there we go. I'm just going to put my paper towel down here so I don't mess up my tablecloth. All right, so there we've got our sky. And this paper has little flecks in it. It's got these little pieces of stuff, and I just think it looks really neat. It kind of gives it a little added boost. Okay, so now that I've got my sky, next thing I'm going to do is the ground. So I've already cut my paper, and when I cut this paper, I didn't cut it, I actually tore it. And so along the edge, it's rough, and I like that. I think that makes it look more interesting as on a landscape. So it's not a exact straight line. It's got these little, it's just torn along that way. So we'll see how that looks. So now we're going to have to glue this. So I don't know if there's a right side and a wrong side. It looks like this side has more fibers showing, so I'm going to use that as my front. So I want to put my glue on the back. So just kind of pay attention to your paper, because sometimes there's a front and a back side, and sometimes there isn't. So in this case, there is. So I'm, again, just putting a nice even coat of glue down the back of the red and let it absorb into the paper a little bit. And you know, the paper, it's not like magazine paper. It will soak up the glue nicely, and the paper will become a little bit more pliable. So it's a little easier to work with. So once the paper is, the glue is absorbed, I lay it down. Again, I'm going to center it on the block and make sure I can fold it down. Now, it looks like I've got about a third, a little bit more than a third of red, and then 2/3 of the yellow. It's closer to half and half, but anyway, so I always like to have a little bit more sky than I have grass. So that's just I don't know, it's just the way that I like to do it. So anyway, so now I didn't have quite enough of the red to wrap it all the way around, but I'm going to fix that. I'm just going to patch it with a couple of other pieces I have. So I'm just pressing it down, and then I'm going to turn it and press down on the bottom like I did before. Get it nice and smooth, and then fold it down. Let me turn this around so you can see. I'm just going to fold it down there. And then I'm going to need some more glue. It's kind of popping up already, so probably didn't have enough glue. I'm going to just put some glue down on the canvas here, and hopefully that'll make it stay. And then I'm going to put some on top, and that will help as well. It'll absorb right through the paper and it'll help it stick. So that worked pretty good. I'm just going to put a little bit more glue on this part. And I'm pressing down fairly hard on my brush because, again, helps get out the air bubbles. It's very important. It's probably one of the most important things you need to know about going to collage is you want to smooth out those air bubbles because they don't look good after your piece is dry if you have a bump underneath something. So you can use your fingers or you can use the brush to just smooth it out and push out those air bubbles. It's kind of like hanging wallpaper. So now I'm just pushing down the sides, getting lots of glue on there so that it will curl around the edge and it won't stick back up. And now I'm going to do that side. Just smush the glue in there. Now I'm going to come back to the edges a little bit later. I just want to make sure I have enough time to finish the piece. So we'll do that at the end, which is fine. All right, so I'm going to turn this around so that it's facing up for the audience. And the next step is we're going to do our trees. So as we see on here, I just did really simple trees. I just cut out basically an oval shape and I just made a little bit jiggly around the edges to make it look like a little tree. So the colors, this is for the sun, this is for the stems. So the colors I'm going to use are purple and this teal blue. And I'm going to have to decide which goes first and which goes behind it, which goes in front of it. So I think I like having the dark purple in the background and the blue in front. So let's see how that works. So I'm going to get my little scissors. And first what I do is I just cut like a rectangle. How many trees am I going to make? I like having 3 trees. So maybe I'll make 3 trees on the side and maybe I'll put 1 tree over here by itself. So I've got my rectangles and now I'm just going to cut out of that sort of an ovalish shape and I'm just making it a little bumpy around the edges to give it a little bit of a tree effect, and just keep going all the way around. And there we go. Oh, that looks a little bit big, but I'm just going to keep going and kind of see how it works. I'm going to cut this one down a little bit because it looked a little big to me. So it really doesn't take much to cut these out. Just kind of jiggle it around a little bit. Put that there. I'm going to make this one a little smaller too. And tree number 3. And we'll do 1 more tree with the purple. And see how it goes. There we go. All right, now I'm going to need to use the blue. And I'm just going to take my purple piece and just put it on top, and I'm going to cut a rectangle out about the same size just to give me something to go by as far as size. And I know I want to make the blue one a little smaller than the purple one because it's going to go on top of it. So I'm just going to cut the rectangle a little bit smaller. And now I can do the same thing, kind of make that jagged edge. And let's see how that fits. It's a little bit squarish here, so I might want to round that out just a tad on the corners. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now this one looks a little big to me, so I'm just going to cut that down a little bit. And you know, you could just play with the different colors and see what colors you like. I just fell in love with these bright papers, and I think they look really cool. So I wanted my little miniature collages to kind of pop, and I just wanted to play with color and see kind of what happens. So that's pretty close. And I got to do another blue one. And it's kind of fun, you know, these can go in a kid's room, they can go in a bathroom. It's really fun for a bathroom, these little pieces, because they're so bright, and bathrooms are usually so small. You don't have room to put big artwork, so You can consider putting it in your bathroom or your kitchen. Kitchens are always fun place to put some bright colored artwork. And it's fun because you can, your friends come over, yeah, you did it yourself. They'll be so jealous. All right, so I'm down to my last one. And I'm just gonna go around one more time. See how that looks. It's pretty close. Okay. So I have my little purple and blue trees. Oops, gotta get that out of there. And now now I'm going to do my stems. So first I'm going to figure out about where I want to place these. Now they still feel a little bit big to me, so I might cut those down a little bit more, but I'm going to try to figure out approximately where I'm going to put them. So they go about halfway up in the sky. So I think I'm just going to cut them down a tad more. Excuse me. And to find my water. I have a tickle. There we go. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you're doing live TV. Okay. So, while I was getting my water, I dropped my purple piece. So I have to get that. Nice music. Music is provided by Roger Van Dorn. You can check out his website, Roger Van Dorn. I don't know if it's .com. Anyway, if you Google him, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. It's very beautiful piano music. All right. So we're almost done with the treetops. Sorry, it's taking a little longer than I expected. They just came out a little too big. So, all right. Next thing is we want to get our black stems. So we just cut a very thin piece of black for that. And I'm going to cut a couple more, a couple of extras. So what we do is we move these off, and you have to decide where you're going to put your trees. So you take your stems and cut them down a little bit, about that size. So that's where one tree is going to go there. And we're going to stagger the trees a little bit, so that one's going to be a little bit lower. Put that one, and you want to space them out. That one goes there, and that one goes there. So there's our 3 tree trunks. And then I'm going to put another one over on the other side. So let's put a tree trunk over here. Instead of a sun, I think with this one, instead of a sun, I'm going to just put another tree over there. All right, so now I have to glue down my black tree trunks, and I just take a little matte medium, stick it underneath and on top. There's already glue on the bottom, so underneath it's still wet, so I don't really need to put too much glue underneath. And these are so skinny, the glue should just absorb right through the paper and it should be fine. All right, so we've got our stems now, our tree trunks. So now I'm going to make a couple little stems, and that is just taking the black and cutting a couple little pieces like that. And then we just kind of stick those on our trees. So we're going to move them over here. It's nice to have some little branches coming up from the trunk. So let's put that over there. Kind of, we want to vary it on one side or the other side. And maybe we'll give this guy a little stem right there. See how that looks. And it's going to stick to your fingers a little bit, but that's just fine. All right, so we've got our background, we've got our trunks, and now we're going to put on our trees. This is the fun part. So you put a little glue on the back, each one, and then you just glue it down right on top of the tree trunk. Put a little glue on top. And then you take your blue piece that you cut, put a little more glue on there, and just lie it down right on top, like that. Now, look what just happened. We have a little bit of see-through going on, so the blue paper is a little thinner, and you can see the purple behind it. I think it looks cool, so I'm just going to leave it. So let's put down some more, another purple one. This one's a little bit smaller. Put that one in the middle. Like that. Put some glue down. And you might want to try putting 3 layers of color on top and see what that looks like. You could just experiment with different things and see what works. Okay, so we put down the purple and the blue. And we're going to do another purple over here. Put some glue on there. These are kind of like when I did the painting, the acrylic painting, similar to this. I did the trees in just sort of brownish colors, and they look like little truffula trees. If you've ever been familiar or read any of Dr. Seuss's books, he made these truffula trees. So, oh my God, we only have 2 more minutes left. Okay, so I'm just gonna, that one's a little bit too small, too big, so I'm gonna skip that one for now and leave that one purple. Maybe I won't do that one. Anyway, so what you're gonna do is just, going to finish it up here. You just put down your other purple tree and put some blue on top. And you're almost done. We got that done so fast. See how easy that was? Anybody could do this. You can get the kids to do it. I mean, the fun part is playing with the colors and doing some untraditional things with your background. And so we're pretty much done. I'm going to leave that blue one off of there and maybe just leave that purple tree there by itself. I don't know. You can use any size canvas for this. You don't have to use these little ones. I just thought that it's a really cute little thing that you can stick in any area of your house. So I hope you'll give this a try. And I want to thank you for joining me today. And I hope that you'll check out my website, LoriKreinStudios.com, find out about upcoming events. And I hope you'll find time to do something creative today. So go ahead and take a walk outside and see what you can find. Thank you. Oh, 30 seconds. Well, it's okay. We'll just sign off in a minute. But anyway, thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.